Yeah, yeah. Right. Good afternoon. No, can you hear me? Oh, wow. Hey, good afternoon. So, well, thank you very much for coming. I will say there has not been this many people in our council chambers in quite a long time. So we might have done something right and we're not even voting on anything. So that's always a good thing. So a few months ago, Chris Erskine, who so many of you know, is a resident here and a friend, and reached out and said, hey, I've been noticing all these bear issues and a lot of comments and in the paper. He says, I got this great guy to come down and talk to you. So, yeah, so he's good too. So we ended up, and so it's like a normal Chris idea. I go, that's a terrible idea, Chris. So then I thought about it and said, well, it's summer, so that's probably a pretty good idea. So we're really happy to have Chris and Steve here with us. This is a council city and a council sponsored event. So I do know that 3 of our other council members are here. Keith Ike, Stephanie, and Jeannie are right there. So thank them. And Kim Bowman, who is also a council member, is upstairs on a regional presentation meeting, so he can't be here at the moment. I want to again thank you all for coming, and this is being live streamed, so it will get recorded. So if you know people that couldn't see it, and they can visit our website, and it'll be up there. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, and Chris can introduce Steve and background and all that good stuff. And Chris said no foul language or anything like that, so we'll try to keep him to that.
See how that works. Great. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Hi, everybody. No, hold it down, please. How many have had bear incidents at their house? That's pretty impressive. Congratulations. How many have crawled into bear dens in their lives? Nobody. Well, he has. Okay. And that's why he's here. Steve Searles was hired back in the 90s in Mammoth Lakes. They had so many bears. They were in the schoolyards. They were in the hotel lobbies. They were in the cars and the cabins, of course. And the police chief called him in one day and said, Steve, I got a job for you. He knew that Steve was a pretty good hunter, a pretty good trapper, a pretty respected guy in the community. And he says, Steve, I need you to do something for me. I need you to kill 16 bears. And Steve says, oh, that'll be fun. Good. You're going to pay me? Well, that's okay, because that's what I do. Steve set off. I mean, it was a public safety issue, and it was a different time. I mean, now I don't think we would do that, but it was a public safety issue. Steve set out to plot where they were in town. He mapped where the alphas lived, where the males were. And in a couple of weeks, he came back to the police chief. He says, Chief, I don't think we need to do this. This is the stupidest thing. It would be a bloodbath. It would be awful for the town. There's carved statues of bears on every front porch. We're killing the town mascot. And the chief goes, well, what would you do? He goes, well, I think I can work with these bears. They're smarter than dogs. They're smarter than horses. They're smarter than half the population of California. I think I can work with these bears and we don't have to shoot any of them. And the chief kind of scoffed at him. He says, well, whatever you do, maybe you have to kill them, but yeah, give it a try. So Steve developed all these non-lethal ways of dealing with the bears, so that this town, which had way more bears than Locking Out has ever had, learned to deal with the bear problem and got them out of the cabins and out of the hotels and out of the schoolyards, probably more than anything else. He ended up with a reality show on Animal Planet, became sort of a world-renowned expert on all these non-lethal things. So not only did he develop these things, but he spread the word for them. So anyway, we're lucky to have him here. I think it's terrific that he's come down here. He's fun to be around, and he's a the most interesting man I've ever met, Steve Searles.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Nice opening. Can we thank Mike and the city council and the city of La Cañada for doing this? Because a lot of cities are way behind on this. You don't want to be, I'm not going to name names, but you don't want to be the town that's known for killing Winnie the Pooh. Okay? That's a tough one to explain to the grandkids. So I love that we're out front of this, and I think we're going to give you some tips. We're going to give you some stories. We're going to answer your questions, that kind of stuff. So I just salute our city. I'm really proud of it. And I'm sorry I didn't put Flintridge up here. I should know better. And there's no hyphen. I know that. I mean, I know so much about it, but
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I hate to name the bear whisperer. That's what they call me all over the world. I worked with my attorney for 3 months to stop them from calling me the bear whisperer, but that's what they call me. I lost my voice and now I'm actually a whisperer. It really pisses me off. But before our friend Chris speaks, I just want to share with you, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of spiders or snakes or heights. I'm not afraid of anything. My only phobia is going to cities. And so I don't. This is my 47th year in Mammoth. I prefer to be in the woods. I prefer to be with the animals. I found a place for me. We're all different. And Chris has been just such a dear friend. He's not just a great writer, but he's really been a great friend to me. And so when he asked me to come down to La Cañada, I'd rather do my own dental work. This is not funny. These aren't jokes. No laughing, no clapping. So he has been a wonderful, wonderful friend, and he's shared his friends with me. Everywhere that we have gone in La Cañada, people are incredibly nice. You folks, everywhere. He takes me really divey places. And all of them.
Montrose. Just for the record. And I like those places, okay? You didn't run out screaming, I'll tell you that.
All of them are approachable and nice and thoughtful and kind. The food's good, the beer's cold. I mean that. And coming down here with the mountains right behind us, we can see it from here. I just want to congratulate you and applaud your town leaders and the people that came before them and the people that came before you. Our world is upside down. Every morning, every day, our phones, and mine's blowing up right now. There's no indicator that is healthy right now. It's horrible. And the bears, when Chris called me and said, there's bears, and there was a bear, sugar bear, that was in your community. There was a bear here that was this morning. With all of my heart, all of my experience, this is the only thing I do. I congratulate you. It's a blessing. The thing that people, the fishing game calls a nuisance or has been killing or people lose their minds about, these are the most magnificent indicator species left in California. The last one we shot to extinction, the California grizzly bear. So that means that you guys have clean water, good food, good habitat, food, water, habitat, and then a social carrying capacity, the fourth item. And these bears are slowly coming off the hill and working around and causing, concern, or the reason that your council and your mayor brought me here. I just want to be straight up. I was straight up with his staff. when they called me that I'm not gonna, I don't believe in the fear and all the insane stuff that's going around. And we're seeing videos every day of people petting bison, all the crazy things that we're being exposed to. You guys are way ahead of it. You have a beautiful town. And if I ever had to move out of the mountains, I'd consider La Cañada. So I mean this with all sincerity. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
This is something that, 50 years ago, anybody who was here 50 years ago, you didn't see bears. You didn't see them in Sierra Madre or Pasadena or here, right? So what has happened, not only are they thriving, partly because the grizzly bear was annihilated, so they have no predators, but they've doubled in population, and we've kind of invited them in with our koi ponds and our golf courses and our hot tubs. It's much nicer place to live than up in those scruffy hills. So they're here, right? We baited them in a way. We sort of drew them in. So it's kind of up to us to treat them well. There are bears. They don't belong to, the Forest Service or, the federal government. There are bears. They're our residents. And so it's kind of cool. Can anybody name the 8 different types of bears? There's 8 different types of bears. Okay, grizzly, right? Black bear, panda, polar, very good. Sun, moon, sloth. There's only one there's one you've forgotten. Spectacled. Nobody gets the spectacled one. There's 8 different kinds of bears. The only one we have to worry about here is the black bear. And what's really fundamental and really confusing for people is grizzly bears versus black bears. That's where a lot of the fear comes from, right? Because grizzlies are an alpha predator. You have to be very, very careful around grizzlies. Black bears are a totally different animal. And the black bears, this is where it gets confusing, come in all different colors. Rarely do we see black ones. Look how golden that one is. It's rarely do we see black bears in California. See, they have this sort of cinnamon color because the sun is so hot. They develop these sort of lighter tones. So then you hear that brown bears are grizzly bears, but black bears often come. It's so confusing. But there's no grizzlies left. What happened to the grizzlies? We hunted them to extinction.
We shot them to extinction in 1928. The last one was destroyed. 1928 seems like a long time ago. It's less than a millisecond of time. So this experiment is long from over. What Mother Nature, the Creator God, put here to keep things in balance, my forefathers took away. The nearest grizzly bear is about 1,200 miles from here, so they're not going to be back. So the black bears continue to expand their home range, and we will see them on the beach in Newport and Huntington before this is over.
Right.
Many communities that I go to, they're way behind. Steve, come and wave your magic wand and make it right. I'm not the guy that people portray me to be. I'm nobody. You guys are, you're as much important as I am, more. And so that your council and your mayor is getting ahead of this and can see that this is going to continue. It's going to expand. Again, that's really good. Most people just, ignore, turn up the radio or the television and close the door. I'm glad to be here to try to help get ahead of it and be not be reactive, be proactive in what we deal with in these modern times. Can you still hear me? I do sign.
So we're going to do 2 things tonight. Primarily, one is to sort of dial back the fear, just to let you know how non-dangerous they are, but be respectful, right? You see a stray dog, you don't corner it, or a raccoon. So we're going to dial back the fear, and then we're going to give you some practical tips. What happens if you find one in your car or your garage, kind of stuff. So You crawled into you know, we did the Kiwanis things. I hope I didn't ask this, but you crawled into bear dens for a living. All right. Hundreds of times. When he was with Animal Planet, he would position the GoPro cameras and the microphones in there so they could get video for the reality show. The bears would eat the cameras. He'd have to crawl back in and, oh, damn it, and crawl back in and reposition this sort of things. How many times talk about how many times you were hurt, scratched, or attacked during all that stuff?
I've worked all across the United States and all across Canada. I'm the luckiest person you'll ever miss your dinner for. And all of this work, and you can go on the YouTubes or whatever. I've never even been slapped by a bear. I've never been scratched by a bear. And Chris is fascinated with this stuff. I got to put up with him. He's my friend. But in all the states, all the countries that have bears, there's smart people go in there and they study the bears and they get the cubs and they bring them out and they draw their blood, they weigh them, they tag them, they do all this crazy stuff. None of those biologists have ever been killed, ever. I know that there's women and men here. I'm not speaking to the men, but you go in and mess with a child in the den, these ladies will kill you with a butter knife. So when we project that or the black bear, the bear is the baddest mother there is. We think about our mothers. They take a bullet for us. There's nothing they wouldn't do. My mother was different, but your mothers, you know. So we've told this story for generations, and we all know about our mothers. You know, they'll whip your ass or whip whoever's ass to help you. So I've spent my whole career trying to counteract all the misinformation. 51% of bear cubs die before they're off the tit, before they're done suckling. The average age we kill them in all of North America is 3.5 years old. Yeah. So Mammoth being a sanctuary city for bears, we have our own thing. We were so proud to have 15, 16, 17-year-old bears, the seniors, if you will, of the species. When you see a little bear, yeah, you might get in your car or go in your garage and get in trouble. All of you people did stupid stuff when you were kids. You know, you don't do that anymore. You grow out of it. So when I'm working with a 600-pound, 15-year-old bear, he's the wise one, like many of you. In other words, he would have already lost his life. So it made it super easy. And people say, it's a great big one. I go, great, I'll be right there. No problem to fix that problem. The adolescents, you know, this guy drank when he was a kid. The little ones are the ones that can be a little more problematic. But through this, I'm not the brightest person in the room. Yes, I read all the information, I studied it, I learned very slowly. And so I started going in their dens. And Chris picks on me a lot, but I've slept. I'm tired. I work hard, and I've fallen asleep with these magnificent animals, and never once has any harm come to me. Yeah, statistically, I know it sounds bizarre, and I don't do drugs, I don't drink to excess, but statistically, scientifically, what I did is the safest place I can be. Crazy world, everything's upside down.
Right. That doesn't mean they don't scare you. And if you don't deal with bears as often as you do, it is off-putting to see a bear in your garage. And ironically enough, when we were working on the book and I'm we're talking endless hours over the phone or up in Mammoth. One day I hear my dog barking like crazy in the middle of the day, and my dog never barks. And I go like, what's going on? And I go out, the gardeners are off to the side. We're between the houses, there's a bear going through the garbage. Now I'm doing this book on bears and how you know how docile they are, how affable, how sweet they are. And I also knew from working with Steve that sometimes you just make some noise and you can chase them off. Get out of here. Go on, get out of here. So I do that. I go, I got this. I got this. So I do this. I go, and the bear looks at me and bluff charges me. He goes, boom, boom, boom. Have you seen him do that? You've probably seen videos of that, right? I don't think they ever carry that through. It's their way of creating space, right? So they like, get away from me. I'm going to finish my shrimp shells. You're at your neighbor's house. And I said, can I get you some French bread over there? Maybe a nice glass of wine, maybe. But that bluff charge too was like, whoa, okay, you know, don't mess, you know, you don't mess with them kind of thing. Wonder if I go into my garage and there's one in the refrigerator eating whatever, even my cooking. Right?
Yeah, I saw the show of hands. You guys have experience. You've seen bears. If there's not an incident, observe from a distance. I use binoculars to this day, not just because I'm old, but as we can see up close, the details and what people are so interested in. Don't approach them. If I responded to thousands of 911 calls, I work in uniform with the police department, Mammoth Lakes Police Department. When there's a suspect, we surround the house. We don't want them getting away. We contain the problem. So a lot of the police departments that I teach around the United States, you guys are hardwired to do this. This is what what you've been trained to do. When I go to a call with a bear in a house in the refrigerator, I just start jamming doors open, chairs, rocks, anything I can find to let them go. They just want to go on their way. And if I come into your home as a person and I'm going to steal your food, I'm on high alert. That's your home, your den, and I'm intruding and stealing your stuff. The bears feel the same way. They're on high alert. They can smell what you had for dinner, whether you smoke or not, whether you're a male or a female. All the information they're processing second by second as they get the resource they need to sustain their life. Shooting bears for eating, I've seen it many, many times, but I almost swore. I beat on bears, and I'm really strong-handed with bears. I am. My non-lethal treatment is most likely deployed from a 12-gauge shotgun, less than lethal, beanbag, flashbang, rubber bullets, rubber slugs. But I kick their butts for bad behavior, and I don't tolerate it. But again, it's a balance. They're just stomach with feet. They smelled your lasagna, and the door was open. In the paper the next morning, it'll say it was a break-in and a possible attack. No, it's a stomach with feet that likes lasagna. I do too. So I think that, like many things we're going to talk about tonight, we're so far out of balance. I hope that working with your mayor and his crew, we can help them not only find what we've learned to be a balance, but I think just importantly is all the things that we got wrong. I haven't forgotten one single thing that I got wrong over all these decades. I think that's important too. You guys don't need to learn, by doing it yourself. I'll be the example of how to do it wrong. Yeah.
Steve was telling me a story today, and he's told me a million stories, but there's always another one. And when he was doing the Animal Planet show, one of the great myths is that you don't run from bears because they'll chase you. You're just tormenting them, and then they'll chase you down. That may be true with grizzlies, not with black bears. So during Animal Planet, he bet the film crew. He goes, I'm going to go up to this bear. I'm going to poke it with a stick, and you can film me and see if that bear chases me. Right?
I said, I'll do it with 10 bears. If you guys will produce the film, I'll mess with each bear, and then I'll run as fast as I can, whatever you want me to do. And, but you film it, because I'm so exhausted from teaching common sense. Y'all know that 2 + 2 is 4. I've said it tens of thousands of times, and people continue to ask me, say it again, say it again.
Yeah.
The misinformation of that a black bear will chase you if you run is absolutely insane. And our state agency is spending millions of dollars teaching everyone that that's the truth. I do large groups. I ask for, response by show of hands, and I'm setting the people up. I know the answer, and I know what their answer is. So there's many, many, many misconceptions about black bears. And thankfully, through television, through the internet, through the media, the TV shows I interviewed for today, thank God that, like a lot of other things in our lives today, we're dispelling that. I almost swore again.
It's like so many problems can be solved with information. They're just education problems, right?
Yeah.
And this is another example. If people just understood, then it wouldn't be a problem. There wouldn't be this excessive fear. This wouldn't be the sense of panic that people have. And it was funny, the LA Times has a big story coming out on him. It went online today. Somebody had a copy of it. It's about to go into print. Then everybody spots that because we're the media capital of the universe. Inside Edition called him today. The Guardian called him today. The San Francisco Chronicle's been on the horn with. It's just beautiful because this is great. And there's been an incident. We're not going to get into it too much tonight, but there was a really bad incident up in Mammoth. And so that's created quite the drama, but it's also an opportunity for people to sort of learn from it and for
You know what, if I
people to
may,
get out the thing. Yeah,
excuse me, did you hear about what happened in Mammoth? Hold up your hand. Yeah, the really, really a bad thing. Very bad. It was my friend. We hung out for 7 years together. Victor the bear was
you want to
big.
recap real quick what happened?
No, it's a big, powerful bear, and he was just like a golden retriever. And so tens of thousands of people per summer hung out with him, and their lives got better. I've taken special needs. I've taken all kinds of inner city people up there because he's just the nicest bear in the world. He got killed by the state. And the reason I share this with you, because you're going to see more and more of it, and I want to tell you the truth. TikTok, wasn't aware of what it was, but TikTok contacted me a week and a half ago after the incident, and they wanted to let me know that there was 40 million comments about Victor the bear. 2 days later, they wrote to me, and it was at 168 million people had commented about the bear, not counting Instagram or Facebooks or any of that stuff. I'm very sad, and I'm very pissed off, and I will avenge his death. But it fills my heart looking at your faces that you're not dumb like what we did, and you're getting ahead of it, and that hundreds and hundreds of millions of people have started to care and started opening their minds. I think it's the antidote for what we're suffering from. And I think it's right there for you to see. And so this outpouring, you'll see my name quite a bit. It ain't about me. I ain't nobody. It's hunting season right now. We're going to shoot about 8% of the total population before we do every year. It's open till New Year's Eve this year, 2 months after the bears at my elevation are in den and having young. It's legal to roust them out and shoot them. Yeah, just for a few dollars. We don't tell the public, you're a senior, you're a man, and you don't know? How could we have kept that from the public?
It's amazing.
So, yeah, I'm a pissed off man. But anyways, we're getting there. There's only 300 million people in the US. Few,
Well, we're gonna get to all that. We're gonna get to some practical stuff. One is, bears play golf. We know that, right? In Mammoth, if there's a bear in the fairway and you're trying to think, they just hit over the bear. That's how, aside from the Victor fiasco, but they've become acclimated to each other and they just sort of don't panic. And that is kind of, but let's talk about some of the practical things, right? Bird feeders, right? Great for birds, even better for bears. It's just food, right? They could go eat a bunch of grass and stuff like that. But no, the bird feeder just hanging there. You wonder why you have bears.
most people that love bears love birds,
Yeah.
You're kind people, I can see it. It's when the bear eats a pound of bird food, most across the nation, the number one issue for getting bears killed is bird food. So it's appropriate that he brings it up. But in Mammoth, same thing. Everyone loves birds. When they eat a pound of bird food, when they pass that, it's still bird food, and the birds eat the bird food. It's the oil that it's packed in. So I've seen them climb 3 stories up a building to get the bird food. So if you love your birds, appreciate it, use a bird bath.
Yeah.
It'll bring as many species of birds for your viewing, and it won't entrap bears into getting addicted to human food.
Bear-proof bins. So Steve, this is just a remarkable life. So in the 90s, they make him the wildlife officer because he developed all these non-lethal ways of dealing. But one of the big hurdles was getting Mammoth, which has more restaurants than we do, to lock down their food bins because they'd go, the bears would get this free food afterward. They get bigger. The bigger they get, the more they would breed. So they'd have this population explosion. But as a resident, the city tells me that every trash company that serves La Cañada, and we know there's about 4,000 of them, makes bear bins available. The kind that bear, and I don't know, they're bear proof, bear resistant probably is the better word for it. So if you're up the hill, and the further up the hill you are, probably the more problem you have. Although I'm down near Touchdown Jesus, the Lutheran church, and that's where I had my bear. So they're pretty much all over the place. But the bear proof, that's huge, right? The bins, because once they've had just like us, right? Once they eat well somewhere, they're going to come back.
If you feed me good food, I'm coming tomorrow night. Yes, they again, their life depends on it. We grew up with don't feed stray cats. Well, they'll bring all their pals. The same thing with the bear. He thinks we love him. You put your trash out on Thursday, he comes, wow, these people are the bomb. It's Thursday, they haven't missed it ever once. And it's just bear bowls down the street. They're in your pools, jacuzzis, they're eating your grass, they're messing with your, stuff, the beautiful gardening and bushes that are in the community. And then it comes with the bonus item. You bring them out all the food every Thursday morning or whichever route.
They know when it's garbage day. It's either Monday or Thursday, which is most of us. And,
So when they're shot, they never saw it coming. They don't have a mean bone in their body. They thought that they were in a relationship with you. They think you're the bomb.
They've been feeding me so nice. Yeah, they put out this food every week.
They take my picture,
Yeah,
they whisper,
they're so
they
excited
bring their
they're
kids
killing
to the
me.
porch.
Right.
If people treated me like that, I'd steal their milk money. I would. I'd abuse it. The bears never do.
The bear temperament's really amazing. And one of the things we don't understand is when Steve would roust them out of cars, which was a big problem because especially the kind of latch where they just lift because they don't have the thumb, the latch they could just lift, they'll just be in your car getting that leftover peanut butter sandwich. And at first when you would, and they'll tear up the car. because sometimes the door will close behind them and then the airbags are off and they're clawing the seats and they're frantic and it steams up. You can't see them. And what would you do? Was it a parachute cord or something that you would attach and stand 20 feet away? Tell this.
I told you from the start, I'm a slow learner. And so it took a while. But I'm so old that when I came up, a door on a car, you push with your thumb. Remember? Yeah. So I was into it and I was learning where I thought I was. And I think the first one I saw was the Ford Ranger. It went like this. Now they don't even make this. They only make this. It took a couple months for the bears. They can do it with their tongue or they can do it with their paw without leaving any mark. Now that all cars have food, all cars have flip latch, the bears learned. And so I had to adapt. Oh boy, again, I'm not as smart as they are. So I had to learn, and I did. I was so afraid. I got a big long cord here to the back of the room, and then I built this little clamp that would go on the door handle so I could get back like it was dynamite or something and let them out. It's the stupidest thing. And again, I don't want your community or your police officers or first responders to have to go through that. They've been in there through the night. The car's torn up. They're scared out of their minds. They might have a cub with them. What you need to do is just open the door of the car. They just want out and to escape.
They'll say,
Go
thank
away.
you. Thank you for letting me out of the car. There's no such thing as road rage with bears. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't want to get even the way we do. We sort of,
I believe in revenge. I just told you. I admitted it. Bears do not. I beat up so many bears. The little ones could kick my butt. I reprimand them. I'm very rough on the bears if they do something wrong, just like you are with your children. We don't want to visit them in the morgue or in prison or in a cemetery. So what do? We work as hard as we can. How many times do we tell our kids to brush their teeth? There's no counting. So yeah, it's a matter of stewardship, of ownership. I gave everybody a sticker. It doesn't say don't feed the bears. It says don't feed our bears. They're yours. Treat them like you treat your kid, your horse, your dog. Yeah.
I think dog food, a lot of people feed their dogs outside. That's
I
another
took
thing.
that pumpkin away from him.
Yeah. And they were getting into Halloween, that, a carved pumpkin on the porch, an uncarved pumpkin on the porch. They love pumpkins,
Yep.
right? Kind of thing. So those are some of the things, but let's sort of pause here for a second, answer a few of your questions because we need to take a drink and whatever. Yes.
Do you mind if you use the mic, please? So
Sure.
some people are watching it?
Oh, that's right. We have people online watching us, so that's great.
This hunting season you were talking about, is there some movement or something to either reduce it or get rid of it or
Never.
never?
That's
Why not?
good. The Department of Fish and Game, our employees,
Yeah,
you pay their mortgage, you pay for the kids to go to school. They work for us.
right.
Why aren't they telling you, how old are you, ma'am?
Plenty.
How could,
81.
I'm so
my
happy.
goodness.
Congratulations. How could you not know that if the hunting season is open statewide, you can shoot them with a handgun, a shotgun, a rifle, or a bow and arrow?
Right.
Girls, boys, anybody that wants to. How come in your life, with all your knowledge and experience, you don't know that somebody worked pretty hard to make sure you didn't
So
find
how
out?
do we change that?
I don't know.
That would be
Wow.
your state legislators, I think.
very
Yeah.
sad.
Be a movement to change.
Isn't it amazing? How many people did not realize that there's bear hunting in California? How many people weren't aware of that? I mean, most people, right? I don't think it's just crazy. It's crazy to me. And it's, they will justify it because otherwise there will be overpopulations of bears and we'll have more bear incidents. And you're not necessarily anti-hunting.
I'm a meat eater and I celebrate the people that tofu. It's all good. But the American Meat Association grades all meat that's edible by humans. That is elk, caribou, moose, every kind of meat. They grade it for texture, color, smell. That's the American Meat Association. They're not politically motivated. The lowest form of meat that a human can consume is a bear. For the people that have to feed their families bear, I pray for them. I would feed them instead. But we don't wear them for jackets. We don't have them as a door on our teepee. We don't eat them. It's for trophy.
Yeah.
So again, I can get politically motivated, but that has nothing to do with it. These are the facts. No bear hunters other than the people that just have to. They have nothing else to feed their family. No bear hunters eat the meat. It's to put on the wall.
It tastes terrible, right? I
It's
mean,
awful.
yeah, they make sausage of it. This still
And I
doesn't
like
help.
meat.
Other questions? Oh, okay.
I watched
Get
the
you.
video of Victor eating the food at the picnic table, and then he walked in front of the woman standing on the stump, but then he turned around and swiped her. What motivated him to take that action?
Didn't you folks hear the question?
Go ahead and repeat it one more time.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay, I watched the video of the bear Victor up in Mammoth. He was eating the people's dinner off of the picnic table, but then he walked in front of the lady. She was standing on a tree stump, but then he turned back around and swiped at her. And I'm curious what made him take that action.
I'm sorry that I had to release the video to the world. I didn't want to. I pled with the authorities that we pay to be responsible for this, to do that and share with the public what happened and answer this man's questions. They said, we absolutely will not. And so I did. And I'm so sorry that so many people have been hurt as much as me. What they didn't tell you, they didn't know, is that those people fed Victor the night before and fed him and wanted the video. If you watch the video, you'll see it's been edited. The film didn't start there and it didn't end there. The lighting is perfect, the camera's perfect, the color, all that is perfect. They had fed the bear for over an hour the night before. Victor, man, you guys love me. You're the coolest. He came back to eat out of that same bear box. She was videoing and waving at the bear. You can see it. I have a high tolerance for bears, but she was this close. Hi.
Was she blocking? Do you think she was blocking his way out or just too close?
He went over to see if the meal was ready in the bear box, how they had fed him the night before. And with her goofing around filming, they don't have words. I'm long-winded to explain to you my thoughts. They have limited communications or vocalizations. Jaw clacking, pounding their paws, what they call bluff charging. In this instance, he saw one of the 30 million dumbest people in California acting like a moron. There's nobody, if you're deaf, dumb, and blind, you would not stand next to that bear. He was doing his thing. He was being a bear. And with her ignorance, hey, why don't you move back a little bit? And he slapped the bottom of her leg. And there was a shoot to kill order issued within minutes. Yeah. So the bear was doing his thing. The idiot was doing her thing. That's fine. You can come to Mammoth and you can be dumb. You can come to Mammoth and you can get drunk, but you can't come to Mammoth and be dumb and drunk. So she is, well, I don't think she'll be coming back to Mammoth.
Yeah. Rod, I think Rod had a question.
Sure, okay. I was gonna ask you, you mentioned earlier, no natural predators since grizzlies haven't been in California for some time. What about animals such as coyotes, people's dogs, other animals, are they as safe from black bears as most of us as human beings are, or do they do things that they're not supposed to do and antagonize the bears and create an incident? How would you comment? Just maybe those three categories of domestic pets and other wild animals like
Are
coyotes.
domestic pets or wild animals in danger from the bears, or are we? Which is it?
No, steps we would take if necessary to protect them from
Oh.
interacting with the bears. Would the bears generally leave them alone unless they were fighting over the same
If
food?
you have a big Great Dane or you have a Chihuahua, they all run bears off. Why? The bear could kick any of their asses.
Right.
It's the incessant barking.
Hmm.
If you've ever, we all have pets, woof, woof, woof. They see the bear out front, woo, 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 bear bark. They can't help themselves. So you tell Fido, oh, good boy, you ran off the bear. Again, misinformation. The bear lives a solitary life. He doesn't want to bother you, your family. He doesn't want to draw attention. In Mammoth, the constant barking, they know that I'll come and kick their ass. So it's like a burglar going into a house and the burglar alarm goes off. I gotta go. The same thing with dogs. Do bears eat dogs? I've seen some random incidences in my life where a dog went into a den and he got what he had coming. But no, they don't eat dogs, cats. I mean, again, think of it. 30 million of the dumbest people. The numbers are all over the place. Let's say 50,000 black bears in the state of California. There is one for every square mile of habitat in California. I gave lectures in Mojave at the windmill farm for the bears living there for the government. So with 30 million of the dumbest people, 50,000 of the smartest animal that roam the planet, nobody's ever been killed. People say I speak for the bears. I think they've spoken for themselves.
All the stuff that people pull, and that wasn't an isolated incident. I mean, they throw stones at them. They get in their face. They do all sorts of ridiculous stuff over the course of a summer just in Mammoth, and nobody's been killed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, no
For
question about
sure.
it. Even raccoons, perhaps.
That I've seen countless times.
Yeah.
Coyotes bag a dog or a cat. I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question, but yes, a pack of coyotes use good judgment. Climb up on a stump. I'm sorry. Sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. No, there is so many things. I wear a gun every day. I'm licensed to do so because of real fears. And when people come to me and they say they're afraid of this, afraid for my family, afraid for my wife, afraid for myself, I never talk them off the ledge. I go, you should be afraid. There's very many things to be afraid of, not bears. I told a group this morning, some of you were there, a lot of us go in the woods to find our peace, go for a walk, break up our day. If you see somebody walking towards you that looks like me, that's a threat. That is a serious threat. If you see a bear, thank your God, say a prayer. No, pay your taxes. It means that you're in a safe place. It's a visual aid. Life is good. Today's okay. See me? Oh boy. Go, blow the whistle.
You talked a lot about the myths that the state perpetuates. Let's talk a little bit about some of the myth or reality. Here's some topics, and we just talked about dogs. There's a myth that, I guess it's a myth, or is it that bears aren't attracted by dogs? There's no, if you have a dog at your campsite, the bear isn't more likely to come because there's a dog there. He's less likely, right?
It's just insane. The beginning men, the reason we domesticated the dog is keep the bears out of our camp. And so they tell this crazy stuff to millions of people, you're going to end up with, some bad things happening. Dogs are meant to help us, to be at our side, to have eyes and a nose and protect us in a way that we don't have those acute senses that dogs do. That's why we feed them and groom them and love them and let them sleep on the couch. They all have that ability, from the Chihuahua to the German Shepherd. All dogs, they all came from the original dog. So when we pass around this misinformation, we're doing a huge disservice to our society.
Myth or reality? Don't make eye contact with a bear.
I'm sorry. The mayor's here. He told me I can't cuss. This really pisses me off. Pissed off. The camera's on. Don't make eye contact with a bear. That's insane. These aren't gang members. And all of the thousands of calls I've been, 22 states, 2 countries, you'll never, ever have to. I'm the luckiest person you'll ever meet. All of those calls, all those times that I was the guy, I've never seen anyone look away. It's a bear. Jeez, they don't even blink. They just stare at them. It's a bear. It's the coolest thing to host these people. Now, for the state of California to spend millions and millions of dollars telling people to not make eye contact with the most beautiful thing, no wonder Jesus doesn't come back. Don't stare at him. Don't make eye contact. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Chris, he knows how to get under my skin. Women that are on their moon are mothers, are sisters, most important people, more important than men. I'm sorry, bro. It is true. If you're on your moon, don't go out where there's bears. I want to punch them in the throat for saying that. Women have been on the planet providing for thousands and thousands of years where bears live. There's no scientific evidence for that at all. And yet men, not women, continue to tell these lies to justify the killing of bears. I want you women to go any day you want into the woods, and I hope you see a bear. I'm telling you the truth.
Myth or reality? Don't surprise them on the trail. So you're out there and you come around the bend and you surprise them. That's what everybody's worried about. So some people sing songs or ring bells. This is my Kiwanis bell that I brought. Ring bells just so you don't sneak up on them. So is that a myth or a reality? Don't surprise bears.
You're getting under my skin, Chris.
So easy though.
I used to surf a lot. And so I was on this surf trip, and I was paddling out in between sets, and I saw the porpoises surfing in the waves, dozens of them enjoying their day. It was a big day, and I just stayed inside on this big old board and just got beat and beat and beat, just rolled, because I didn't want to paddle through the waves and be hit by a porpoise. They know you're there. They knew I was there, and I was whooped at the end of this session from holding on inside instead of paddling out and surfing with them. Yeah, I was a dumb kid. So again, when I'm in the forest with the bears, I try to do that as much as I can. I hear people, hey bear, blowing whistles, ringing the darn bell. I tell them to shut up, knock it off. I'm trying to take some time, you're scaring me. If you're in overhead brush, just go the other way. I don't want to walk in overhead brush. But other than that, when you're on a trail, they know their environment. Their sense of smell is thousands of times better than yours. Your nose is to hold your glasses. Their nose is to lead their lives. They know exactly where we are. Is there times when I've walked up stalking a track a lot of bears and come up and I can hear them snoring, you know, and countless times. And they wake up, oh, don't don't ring bells, please. Yeah, use good judgment. We all have that. All of you people are adults. There's no children here. So yeah, use good judgment. If you're in Alaska with the brown bears, be very thoughtful. This conversation has nothing to do with that. If you're with the grizz, if you're with the white bears, that's a completely different thing. Go to a different conversation. Don't listen to me. We're talking about black bears that are here in your community. They know where they are. They know you're the lay of the land, maybe better than some of you. So you don't have to blow the whistles or sing the songs or clap. It's really annoying. You want to have friends to go with you. Don't do it.
What about hiking alone though? That's not a good idea, is it? I mean, it's
If the state Fish and Game and Forest Service only go out if you're with a group. So I think it was no less than 6. You know what the men of this world need to do right now is to go walk alone in the woods. We told millions of them not to do it. The ones who were working up to it, the light bulb was coming on, don't do that. There's bears, don't look in their eyes. And the exact thing that people need today is what I try to do to calm my nerves and dry my tears, is to be alone and walk in the forest. They spent money telling people not to. It's insane. These are not grizz bears, not brown bears. So I encourage all the men to walk alone in the woods. The ladies already do it.
we're going to take some more questions in a minute, but 2 of my favorite stories. One is during Steve, while I was learning the bears, there was a bear called Center Street that lived near his house. If you've read the book, you know about Center Street. Center Street was a very vocal bear. And Steve decided that if he could learn what the sounds mean, if he could learn their language, then when he's on a 911 call, he can tell if it's freaked out, if it's angry, if it's being playful, whatever it is. So he would take a cup of coffee every day and go and work with Center Street. And then, so that came in handy because later on, there was a little bear cub that got a Costco jar stuck on its head. You want to tell that story a little bit about and it was for 4 days or something like that. The big pretzel jar, it would look like a little astronaut,
It was party mix. And that plastic, scissors. Yeah. Center Street was my friend for many years. Every morning I went to see him. He lived in the same tree right by my house. And so as I'd walk through the forest alone as a man, as I walk over there, when he saw me, he would start vocalizing because he knew what was happening next. And we would, as long as no one was around, because I was so embarrassed, was humiliated by my ignorance. So he would vocalize and I would repeat it like learning Spanish. And we'd go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth till my coffee was done. We did this every day for years. He was a very special bear. Can someone break this phone for me? I'll give you a free sticker.
It might be 60 minutes. Okay. So don't.
So I recorded all this, videotaped these conversations. I don't know what he was saying, but I was trying really hard. Many, many years later, 30 years later, We had this cub incident, if you know Mammoth, the little baby cub, and his sister and his mom were down in Red's Meadow, and he got the jar stuck on his head. It was sealed perfectly around his neck. He tried down in Reds for 2 days, smashing his head on rocks and against trees to try to get it off. It became completely opaque on the outside from battling to try to get the darn thing off. Inside was all the snot and the breathing and the spit and everything. And so he was stuck in there. His mother, Ron, I don't know why, she walked from Red's Meadow to Mammoth Mountain, over Dave's Run, down the spine with both cubs in tow, and he couldn't see, crying, bellowing. You could hear him for blocks. And they walked all the way down, and of course, to my house. I worked for 4.5 days. I stayed up. I handed out equipment, capture poles, all kinds of equipment to the local police department. All the community knew about it and were aware, and they were blowing up my phone, trying to help this little bear out. I asked everyone to help. They were, every time we responded, they vanished. We were hauling butt to these calls, and we couldn't get that cub and help them. The 4.5 days into it, I know without food, water, that the cub was done. I went home to start drinking and get real drunk and cry myself to sleep. My efforts were in vain. You can watch the video, it's online. A sergeant, a dear friend of mine, gave his best effort, could not, he's such a powerful man. He had his 45 pointed at the female, the sow, the mother. The other cub was there by the police car. He palmed the jar with the bear like a basketball player and tried to shake the bear out of the jar. And he couldn't do it. He called me at home, come quick. Went racing over there with my gear, and there was some firemen, two other police officers that were there, and they'd treed the bear. He was 60 feet up. The mother and his brother were on the ground in the pitch black. This is around midnight, and 60 feet in the air with the capsule on his head, you could hear him screaming. And so, again, I'm embarrassed to tell these stories. Chris makes me tell them, but everyone went dead quiet. We turned off the flashlights. And from learning from the bears and the years I'd spent with them privately, I called out to the bear the way his mother does and emulated. It's like aloha. It's hello and goodbye in Hawaii. For them to go up or down the tree from when they're born, the mother, mm, 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 mm. If you're up in the tree, you're told to come down. If you're at the bottom of the tree, that means get up there. So I did that. And as soon as I started calling, you could hear him just raking his nails down the tree to get to me as fast as he could. When he got just at eye level, again, it was filmed, or I would not believe the story either. But as soon as he got at eye level with me, I had welding gloves on for the capture. They're incredibly strong, and that cub had 1.5 inch nails already. And I'm going to take off the thing that's keeping the mouth part from working. So when I grabbed him, I had no dexterity. I had no feel, the sensitivity to work with the cub. And he ripped out of my hands. A lot of profanity went on. We cut that out of the film, but a lot of profanity, all from me. And the cops and the firemen were, teasing me a bit.
Back up the tree.
6 stories up, he went back to the top of this pine, and I was, yeah, I already didn't feel good before I came to the call. We were starting to drink, so they said, try again. The sergeant, my dear friend, said, Steve, try again. I go, I'm done. Try. They all quit laughing. They turned off the flashlights, and I called to the bear. Came straight down immediately and into my arms this time. And with a pair of aircraft scissors for cutting aluminum, we slowly cut the bear out. During the entire call, when I had him in my arms, he was screaming, and I do speak some bear speak. He was yelling to his mother in the dark, kill Steve, kill Steve. This guy's a jerk. I'd taken off the gloves, so that helped. Kill Steve. If you love me, you'll do it. And the sergeant cut with scissors, aircraft scissors, cut the thing off his head. When we pulled it off, I'm not dumb, you're you're on the business end of a bear with the mother there. The cub just went silent. Silent. One of the most moving things. Hug is a big word. But Chris is a writer, so he used the word hug.
You told me he hugged. He
I-
hugged you like he went completely silent.
Chris, he went totally silent and stopped yelling for me, my death. And I gave the cub back to his mother. That night, when I got home before 1 o'clock, I did some drinking and some thinking and some crying of how blessed we are and how important it is to protect these experiences and this sacred animal that's on our land. That's
Very nice. Let's take some more questions. Let's take some more questions. We got, I don't know,
no clapping.
another 5 or 10 minutes. So
Have you had the opportunity to speak with state officials and have this type of discussion with them? And obviously that didn't.
They're all
want-
yelling, kill Steve, kill Steve. Yeah, fish and game. Game is something hanging from its legs from a tree branch, and skinned and butchered. I'm not mad at people that feed their families wild meats. I'm not at all. That's not what this is. So I went to all the meetings. I went to Sacramento to meet with the governor's staff several times. Been in this fight for years, and I'm not an extremist, and they think I'm a jerk. Well, I am kind of. I'm rough. I'm not the nicest man in the world, but I'm not that hard to talk to. They don't even want to talk about this. They will never change their minds. And so, yes, I've done all of the stuff you're suggesting, above boards, with an ironed shirt. These folks are set in their ways.
the NRA is a little powerful, as you may have heard. Yeah.
Many fish and game officers and Forest Service officers have been my friends over the year. They are wonderful, wonderful people. I'm not saying against the people that work for the fisheries or anything like that. Their policies are so antiquated, like a giant ship on the ocean or a train. You got to prepare a couple days before to stop it, to change course. If they wanted to, it would take years for them to change course. They don't want to.
Why did they expand the hunting season 2 months? What was the thinking there? Was that just
2 years ago, the most snow fell of anywhere on the planet Earth. In my front yard, it snowed 6 stories. Broke my roof in half, and I was there. Incredible biblical amount of snow. Over 50% of the wildlife died, including bears, den failure, or starvation. I went and watched bears that dug 30 feet of hardpack. The biggest man in here couldn't do it. And dug, and it's a one-way trip. You can't go back. The snow you're digging through, you're standing on to dig in the pitch black, without food or water for 6 months, without urinating or defecating. They dug instinctively, straight up. When they got to the top, it was like they were on the moon. And then they died from starvation. This was an incredible thing. It moved me deeply, but I wanted to keep my eye on the ball, be thoughtful, logical. I know scientists, smart people, and immediately the Fish and Game put out the notice that we're extending the bear season even longer.
It's
That's
just
a
counterintuitive. It just makes no sense at all.
But how many people knew that? There's the problem. Don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Why wouldn't they tell you? Your town mayor is right there. Your staff, city councilman, the assistant mayor are all here. Well, how long would you keep them if they kept you in the dark about things that you think are important? They don't do that. They know intuitively, instinctively, that's not going to fly with you folks. Not one of you held your hand up that you knew this happened. I'm not saying whether I'm right or wrong. It's not my call. They're your bears. It's your land. It's your water. It's your air. They work for you and they're going behind your back. If they tell everybody and run an ad and say, hey, we're going to shoot them all, this is great, that's fine. If you folks are for that, I've worked in states. Did a deal up in Canada, in the middle of Canada, and they did all this press and newspapers the way La Cagnotte is. And they said, Steve Searles is coming with, Saturday night. They shot 3 of them as soon as they got to my hotel room. I went and everybody had a rifle in their truck. And they said, dude, we don't need you. This is how we deal with bears. If we see them, we shoot them right then. I said, appreciate your honesty. I believe that majority rules. I don't think you folks are liking what your employees are doing. Up in that little town, they liked it a lot. I said, thank you, I'm on my way. I only want to help people that want help, but I'm not saying how you should feel, but your employees should tell you, like these folks are, hey, this is what's happening, this is what our priorities are, this is what our budget is, whatever the flavor of the day is, what they're working on. These agencies are not doing that. And so it's forced my hand that I got to tell you the truth. I encourage you to fact check everything I'm saying. You don't have to believe me. This is the truth. Yeah.
Other questions? Oh my goodness, this is great. Right here? Then we'll work our way back. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You taking it back?
A multi-part thing here. You can choose to answer them all or pick one that you like. First one, real quick. Is there a misnomer about this idea of looking, a bear in the eye? Is that coming from misinformed about there are creatures you don't look eye to eye? It's not a good thing or not. That's one part.
No, don't get me confused. I'm a simple man. I work with lions. I've never seen an elephant or an alligator or anything, but I work with all the animals that are in California many, many times, and I've never looked away ever. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I don't know who invented the lies. I just can't tolerate it. I've
Right.
never turned, if I'm working with a raccoon or a fox, I don't look away.
Right.
Yeah, it's right there. Coyotes, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of coyotes. He's over there. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've never seen a person do it ever.
Okay.
Go.
You talked about walking, to get out and walk and so forth, but earlier you said, if you're out walking alone and you see me coming, run the other way.
I mean that. Some years more men
Yeah, okay.
hurt people, eat them, bury them under their house than bears. How bizarre. There's no brochures for that. When I say that people that look like me, it's not for a laugh, it's in total sincerity. The things that men do in this world that we're experiencing or seeing on the phone or on the news or on Fox every single day, no bear has ever done, ever. When I wear a sidearm every day, it has never once, ever in my entire life been for a bear. It's for the bad people, the men that would hurt a child or a woman. I cannot tolerate that. That's why I wear a firearm.
And this would be the, not
Is
the
your
elephant,
last question?
not the elephant in the room, it's the bear in the room that hasn't yet to be addressed. The population of the black bear in California is what? You mentioned that.
The numbers are from 35,000 to 85,000 from the same company we're
Okay,
talking about.
Could you address the impact of the amount of fires the state has suffered on the bear population over the past year or two?
Great question.
I mean, massive,
Yeah.
massive land
And timely
wilderness has
question,
just been
too.
thrashed. What are these bears doing other than fleeing, terrified in their environment? And of course, it goes beyond the California line, but we're.
Have you read Chris's book yet?
Yes, I have.
You know, we talk, and he's a very nice man. The subject that you bring up and what we're witnessing, we drove for an hour and a half yesterday. During the entire hour and a half, we could see the fire. We could see the destruction. I've lived through many fires, and all the animals, the porcupine, the squirrels, the chipmunks, all of them are incinerated. The bears are brothers. They don't blow out their lungs. They're not they don't work in groups. They're an independent thinker. They slowly walk to stay out of that fire. The largest fire ever in the history of California burned up to my door from the other side over at the coast. They just let it burn and burn and burn. Moonscaped everything. The only animals that got out alive were the bears. They all flooded into our town. They'd never been there. They can never go home. It's gone. So they just were sitting on our lawn, sitting in the street, sitting in parking lots, just looking around. And thank God we had a community that could host that. And every person put out 5-gallon buckets of water so they could blow their nose, so they could clear the facilities that they needed to live. Since then, those massive bears moved out the local bears. And those bears had to go find other habitat. And all the fire bears are still there. Amazing. So these, I'm not a religious man, but these biblical events are worth mentioning. And I appreciate your question. It means very much to me. This is not good at all. And our fears aren't even close to the amount of actual damage. Thank you.
We'll take a couple more questions and we'll hang out a little bit after. So if you want to talk to us, so, okay.
I didn't cuss. You cut me off.
Yeah. There's still time.
I've had a lot of encounters with bears around my house and down the street. I run my dogs every night.
Good.
And I encounter bears then as well. So I'm not upset by the presence of bears. A couple of weeks ago, though, I went into my garage to put some insurance papers in my car, opened the garage, the car door, slipped into the driver's seat, started working with the papers. As I was doing that, I noticed a motion coming from my left side, and a bear was right there, 3 inches away from my arm. Luckily, he was calm, so I was calm. I basically said, hello. He didn't do anything, so I said goodbye. And then I reached, not thinking that he was between me and the car door. I reached for the car door and he backed away and I closed the door. Nothing happened after that. My question about it is that worked because I was calm and he made me calm. What other alternatives would I have had? Because I was totally trapped by this bear. Would playing dead work? Would that dissuade him from looking around for food?
Thank you. We have a lot in common. Every time I walk up to a bear or they come to my house, first thing I say is hello. And so thank you for your story. Honestly, people, we're going to work with your staff and your employees. We're not done. This is just a short little conversation to break the ice and get to meet you folks. But I've seen people play dead. I wouldn't advise it. I don't want to get my clothes dirty. I'm a single man. But I've seen people their pants. I've seen people cry. I've seen people pray. I've seen people sing to them. I've seen people run as fast as they can right at them. I've seen people run as fast as they can away from them. I've seen it all, and not once, not a story, thousands of times. I'm a study of human nature. So what you did was the exact right thing. But if you chose a different path, you seem like a very nice guy and very thoughtful, but it's us that are unpredictable. The bear just came, you got anything? I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I want to get fatter. Obesity is sexy, you know. So the you have experience with bears. You live here in La Cañada. Yes. You have dogs. We all have life's experiences. You were in a jam, bear, you know. Sure, you did the right thing. Pretty hard to do the wrong thing. 30 million of the dumbest people, none of them are getting whacked. But we got all this stuff going on. We see it on the news every day now. People doing weird responses to the reality that bears are living amongst us now. With all of those variations, countless variations of how people responded, the bear never does anything wrong. My buddy, Victor, hit the lady on her ankle, and they killed him. But I appreciate your question. I hope I answered it.
One last question. Like I said, we'll stick around.
She's nice. Let her ask too.
Okay.
I know that lady.
Then the first one though. Okay.
Am I close enough? Okay, cool. So I wanted to ask about perhaps maybe a more minor version of our own Victor that we had in our neighborhood. I think she was a she. I think she was tagged as 162. She would hang out in our neighbor's tree in their pool, and our tree broke our fence a little bit. It's fine. But I just learned on the way here that she was euthanized after apparently 13 break-ins. Was there anything that we could have done for her more as her neighbor or as her city that we could have done to help her survive that?
We're going to work to those longer term answers. It takes a village. I don't want to say anything. I wasn't here. Was Sugar the bear?
Maybe it was
sugar. I
sugar.
think that was sugar.
Was it
Yeah,
sugar?
I think so.
So I read the press. People wrote to me, asked for advice, that kind of thing. The 13 break-ins, without being contradictory to your law enforcement or your sheriff's department, I wouldn't dishonor them that way. I think that the word is used wrong. It's warm out. Your sliding glass doors open. You got the Doritos and stuff going on. You go for a walk. You go to the store. The bear strolls in. Strike. Break in.
Yeah, is that a break-in really?
Right. They're calling what happened to Victor the bear at Lake Mary an attack. A dozen news media has already labeled it as an attack. I just attacked him, you know. No, he's my friend. This stuff with bears, like fishing. It was, it can get blown out of proportion very quickly. A soft entry, which I believe from people that shared with me, most of what she did is walk around, follow her nose. Hey, what do you got there? You seem nice. You always feed me on Thursdays at the curb. I was going to save you the trip. I'm here. Got a loaf of bread. You get what I mean? If I was there, I would have kicked Sugar's butt for doing that. I don't want soft entries. I don't want hard entries. I don't want anything like that. I don't want them in the cars. You don't allow that with your kids. You don't allow that with your dogs. You reprimand them, the carrot or the stick, and then when they learn their lesson, you give them the carrot. We hope, I know for a positive sure that we can improve the situation so we don't have a situation for Sugar like Sugar. I appreciate you using her name, and I guarantee you that I can help you with that improvement to make that happen a lot less. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, the bottom line is in a world where from the moment we wake up in the morning, from our phones and our TV sets, all our screens, we're bombarded with images of wildfires and terrorism and terrible, whether it's traffic accidents, whatever it is, it's just negative, negative, negative. It's a confrontational world. It's a nasty world. It makes you not want to get up in the morning. The bears are the antidote to that. And how lucky are we to live in a place where there's bears? You said, was it Psychology Magazine? This is my favorite thing. I should have put it on a slide. He says, seeing a bear is like seeing a rainbow or a shooting star. If your kid's with you, put them on your shoulder and say, hey, aren't we lucky we live in a place where there's bears? And I'll just leave it at that. Aren't we lucky that we live in a place with bears? And let's put up with them as best we can. Thank you all very much. And buy the book, okay? How are you?
Yeah, from San Marino, and it's been a while since we talked.